Good morning. Welcome back to the Carolina CRE podcast. I'm here with Walt Crayton today down in New Bern. He's going to talk to us a little bit about retail development. So, Walt, how you doing this morning?
Good morning, Fourth. Doing great. A little
Good. Walt and I were
pretty sunny day. We had so much rain lately. Glad to see the sun out here in New Bern.
That is, yeah, we're still a little overcast here in Southern Pines, so hopefully we get some of that sun you're getting today. When you can keep the heat though, so
Yeah, heat and humidity. Yeah,
yeah. And
appreciate
Walt
you
and I
having
were,
me. This is cool.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Walt and I were talking a little bit about high school football here. We're both big football nuts, so maybe that's where the journey takes us today. But we'll see. But we're going to talk about Walt here. I got a little intro I want to tell. So the one thing that stuck out to me about my research leading up to this about Walt was that, his dad told him, don't ever get into this business. And obviously he didn't listen, but he went to the commercial side. He's a third generation New Bern developer. His grandfather founded Crayton Company back in 1950. In 2008, Walt struck out on his own with Crayton Commercial, starting as a one-man shop and going to build and revitalize shopping centers across the Carolinas, from Havelock to Fayetteville to Dillon, South Carolina. So I know you're an Eagle Scout too, Walt. That's we don't see that as much as we used to. So that's a cool fact about you. So yeah, tell us about your history. I think you and I are about the same age based on my research. So tell me about you, Walt.
well, yeah, I appreciate it. I appreciate that, Fourth. I'm 44. I had to think a second. I'm 44. So yeah, born in 82. But yeah, grew up here in New Bern, Eastern North Carolina. Really love this, love the coastal part of this state. Of course, we were talking a minute ago before the session started about, North Carolina's, we're so fortunate to live here. There's not a lot of states in the country where you've got a beautiful world-renowned coastline, and then you can drive a few hours and be in the beautiful mountains that we've got. So, love this state. But yeah, I'm from New Bern, and as you mentioned, my grandfather in 1950 started the company that my dad currently owns today, Crayton Company, which is a residential builder and developer. My grandfather Paul started that, and then my father has been doing it about 50 years. I think this year is his 51st year. He still
Awesome.
builds houses and develops residential neighborhoods. He's kind of slowed down a little bit, but yeah, he's been at it over 50 years. But as you mentioned, when I was growing up, very entrepreneurial family, and I was always trying to make some deal and buy and sell something, fix something up, growing up, and always knew I wanted to do something entrepreneurial, own my own company, that kind of thing. But my dad, he always said, as you know, the residential real estate business is very emotional. It's emotional and it's very frustrating. And he said, he always told me, don't ever do anything in this business. But if you have to, do something commercial where it's not these emotions, people coming in a house. So I don't like the way this looks, or just so emotional. And I do like that about commercial real estate. You don't have that. It's you're dealing with business professionals, and there's a little bit of emotion. I get emotional,
Sure.
but nothing like that. So,
Yeah.
and I guess I'll stop here in just a second, but I went to college at Chapel Hill, majored in business, and when I graduated from there, I moved to Charlotte and worked there for about 4 years, a little over 4 years, for two different companies there in the shopping center business. And then, I'll talk about that a little bit or whatever you want me to. But then in 2008, I left Charlotte and moved back to New Bern and started this company here. So,
Yeah. What made you come back and do that?
well, I miss the area. One, the quality of life here in New Bern and Eastern North Carolina, the Charlotte area, obviously, even back, it's grown tremendously, but even back then it was, to me, it's too landlocked. You got Lake Norman, but that's not, growing up here on the rivers and the ocean and the coast,
Yeah.
I really missed it. And I always, from the first day I moved to Charlotte, I always wanted, my end goal was to come back to New Bern. And it got to be with my work experience there that I felt comfortable enough that I knew what I was doing, that I said, well, I'll give this a shot, try to start my own, you know how it is in this business. You can be based out of anywhere. It's very regional business. I mean, you can be in New Bern or Pinehurst or in a barn out in the middle of nowhere, and still we all travel so much, and the way this business is. So that was a big part of it, is just wanting to get back to the quality of life here in Eastern North Carolina. And again, I figured, hey, I think I know what I'm doing. I mean, at the time I was 25 years old when I started this company, and I said, well, worst case, I'll try it. I fail, I can always go back and get another job working for somebody. Worst case, let
Yeah.
me try. I'm 25. Let's roll. So
Yeah, good for you. Good for you. Yeah, it's interesting. You and I have so many similarities. We're about the same age. I moved to Atlanta after college and moved home in '08 to work with my dad. And you don't work with your dad, but sort of down the street anyway. But I grew up in an entrepreneurial family and thought, I'm never doing this. I'm never going to own my business. Of course I do now, but I thought, I'm going to go get a real job in a big tower, get business cards and be important. And it's just a tough life to beat. And, you figured that at a much younger age than I did.
yeah, yeah. I was fortunate to get some really good work experience prior to opening this company. I would not be here. Obviously, would not be here today without that.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about some of the projects you've produced. A lot of people that live in kind of the Piedmont where I live, between, Raleigh, where I am, Charlotte, and the Triad, they think that the Eastern North Carolina is, another country. And, it's such a vast, large area that most people don't know about a lot of the small towns. And that's where you sort of specialize, is in those smaller, tertiary communities, is the industry would call it. So what's your reason for niching like that?
Well, let me back up. Let me back to answer that question. I got to go back a little bit. My job's in Charlotte. That's what I was exposed to. My first job was working for a company called Norcom Properties, a smaller firm in Charlotte that owned a portfolio in the Carolinas and Virginia of like older, like Food Line type shopping centers. That was my first job out of college, and I leased those shopping centers. That was I was kind of just thrown out there and had to learn a lot on the fly. That was my first job and first exposure to the commercial real estate and shopping center retail industry. Well, did that job for about a year and a half or so. And through that job, I met all kinds of people in this industry. And one of those was Shoe Show, the company Shoe Show, based out of Concord, North Carolina, right north of Charlotte. They are, a lot of people, they're a little under the radar. A lot of people don't know that much about them, but they've got over 1,100 stores nationwide mostly under Shoe Show and the Shoe Department store banners. Anyways, long story short, I got to know them through my first job at Norcom, and they hired me to basically manage and lease their portfolio of company owned properties, which a lot of people don't realize. They had a separate division of the company that had, at the time, 50 some shopping centers that they would go in. And back then it was the heyday of the Walmart shadow industry.
Yeah.
So, 25 years ago, every small town, particularly in the southeastern United States, new Walmart supercenters were popping up. And what we were doing, and others, but this division of Shoe Show, what we were doing is going in across the street or next to a new Walmart supercenter. We were buying land and developing what was called a shadow center. And we would put our own store in, Shoe Show or Shoe Department, and then lease the rest of it out to Dollar Tree, Cato Fashions, those type of stores. And that's what they hired me to do. They had grown that division of the company to such an extent that they needed a dedicated person to kind of oversee that. And I was, at the time, like 22, 23 years old. But it was really cool. So I traveled all over mainly, again, the Southeast, but all the way from Virginia, Carolinas to Texas, riding around leasing those properties. Well, that quickly evolved into, instead of me just leasing them, then I was going out finding land, negotiating, buying land, working on the construction, the development, putting the whole deal together for new ones of those. And then after working there, that again, huge, just invaluable experience doing that at a very young age. Then I decided to move, like I said previously, move back to New Bern, start my company. And that was what I was going to do. I knew how to do the shadow centers. And so I started out, did 3 or 4 of those, and they turned out very well. Did one in Havelock, one in Reidsville, one down in Wallace, North Carolina, a little bit down your way. Those turned out great. Well, this was 2008, 9, 10 time frame. Everybody knows what happened then. Great recession. Walmart slowed down. A lot of these retailers slowed down. The shadow industry that was the heyday, and it kind of came to an end. So I had to figure out a different niche. And I mean, I don't know. I'm not the smartest person around, but I'm gonna figure out a way to make something happen. And so that is really the niche that I got into that has carried me on ever since, is buying old, rundown, vacant retail shopping centers and totally revitalizing them where they look brand new when I'm finished. They're full, they're leased. It's just really cool. But that's my real niche. Mr. Tucker, who was the owner and founder of Shoe Show, he joked with me after I left his company and started this. He said, "Man, you're in the recycling business. You recycle old buildings." So that's, again, sorry, I'm probably rambling here, but that's kind of the I had to back up a little bit to get there. But now today I'm all the way from the Carolinas, Georgia, all the way to Alabama. Those 4 states is where I do business today and own properties.
So how did you land upon, the recycling business?
Just trying to figure something out. I mean, a lot of the great companies and great stories in this country came from a business that no longer existed, that somebody had to figure out what to do.
Amen,
And in my case, the Walmart shadow business kind of stopped, and I had to figure out something else to do. This was recessionary times. It was tough times. And I would go into all these markets in the Southeast. I would ride around and see these vacant vacant rundown buildings that were still in a really good location that you could buy for pennies, almost pennies on the dollar. And you didn't have to deal with all the headaches that new development, the engineering, the permitting, the stormwater, the DOT issues, all these tough issues, the site work. Well, you're buying something that's already there. Instead of these communities a lot of times fighting you, they were welcoming you with open arms. Man, we love you. Take this blighted, falling down piece of junk eyesore and turn it into something that looks brand new. Heck yeah, But that's really it was just me riding around seeing places, thinking, man, here's an opportunity. And back then I was one of the few people doing it. Now it's hard to do because everybody's doing it. I was doing it when I kind of was one of the first people that really did it.
Yeah. Going to find a bunch of old Kmart centers, right? And
old Kmart's, old Walmart's, old grocery stores. Yeah.
So what's your philosophy? So you find a recycling project, we'll call it. You get in there, you take it down. What happens from there?
Well, it is all about the relationships with the retailers in my business, and mine are a kind of a niche group of national discount type retailers. The Roses stores, Shoe Show, Hibbett Sports, Cato Fashion, City Trends Fashion, folks like that, to name a few. But before I even really get too deep in a project, I reach out to a few of those key folks to see if they're interested in what I'm doing, to put the thing together. And actually, honestly, about half the time it's the opposite way. I've now gotten such a rapport with doing these type deals. A lot of those tenants, those retailers, they reach out to me and say, "Hey, we want to be in this market," or, "Hey, we saw this vacant place, this building, whatever. We want to be there. Can you put it together?"
Yeah, that's great. Now, do you do any ground up?
No, I mean, I occasionally I would do some like freestanding ground up Dollar Tree stores and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that, but I haven't done any of those in a few years. So,
Yeah, that's a
and
good place to be.
it's mainly just all existing buildings. And I will say when I first started doing it, there were a lot, like I said, a lot of opportunity. There's not as many opportunities now. So now I don't do as many complete total redevelopment projects, but I'll buy stuff that something's wrong with. Somebody wants to get rid of. I've bought properties from large REITs or large companies that are shedding non-core assets, or, somebody inherited a property or inherited something. They don't know what to do. They just want to cash out, make some money. I'll buy it. I'll stabilize it. Deferred maintenance needs to be attended to, some lease up, stuff like that.
Yeah, no, that's great. So you said that, actually, let me switch gears a little bit here.
Yeah.
If you talk to a layman, they think retail's dead or dying or something like that, that Amazon's just eating them up, which you and I both know is not true. So, but what's your philosophy on that? How do you answer that question if somebody says that to you?
Well, I guess maybe I'm just dumb luck. Well, like you said, those people are dead wrong. But when I got in this business, I have always been in the discount and grocery retail business. That's what I've always been in, and I've never been in high end anything or mixed use or whatever. I've always just been in discount and grocery retail. And I remember when back in the day when like QVC and Home Shopping, all that came out, they said, "Oh, that's going to kill retail." Well, no. Well, then the recession came about in '08. Oh, that's going to kill retail. No. Discount retail does well in bad and good times. Well, then the internet, that's going to kill retail. Well, no. Then COVID came around. Oh, it's going to kill retail. Well, no. What's the common denominator of all that? Some retail may have been hurt, like in COVID, department stores and, some stuff like that. But essential retail, which is what my stuff is for the high majority of it, all stayed open and thrived during those times, just like recessionary times. So I would say somebody that says that about retail is dead. Retail has evolved. Maybe there's some segments
Yeah,
of it that have died out, but for what I do, which is again a pretty specialized niche, discounting and grocery retail, knock on wood, has survived, and really I will say has thrived. I mean, my portfolio of properties right now, I own currently 17 shopping centers in 4 states, and I am about a 96% occupancy rate
that's great.
across the whole portfolio, which is the highest I've ever been. That's the highest occupancy I've ever been. And part of that is these existing properties. You cannot build. I
Yeah,
guess what I'm saying is I can lease space way less than someone would have to pay for new construction. So most of my tenants don't leave, because if they leave, they're going to have to pay more
yeah.
rent somewhere else. And in the unlikely event that someone does leave or close, I can backfill their space for more rent than what they were paying.
Yeah. No, it's a
So,
great place to be. And I can tell you, my wife, before we had kids, she loved, she's a PA. She would go after work every day to, some store. It was just kind of her defusing or whatever you want to call that. And I'd forgotten about that until this week because my kids are out of town. They're in Charlotte with my in-laws at Bible camp this week. And my wife has been going to the store every day. Well, it's only Tuesday, but I know she will today because she loves that. I can tell you, my point is retail is not dead. Trust me.
No, and there's, if you're having your kid's birthday or something, birthday party, a 5-year-old birthday party. You need, the party starts in 30 minutes. You forgot you need some blow up balloons and you need some napkins and paper plates. The internet's not going to help you,
Yeah. Yeah. And you want that
Um,
selection too. So,
yeah.
Tell me about some projects that you're really proud of that, were kind of benchmarks for you and your company, Walt.
Well, I will say, and I've been asked that question before, and I heard, Lash, who spelled, they've been spelling his last name wrong for generations, but,
He spells it wrong.
yeah, I think the world of Lash. I gotta say that he, we're about the same age, and Lash is, fantastic. I know he's right there local to you in Pinehurst, but
Yep.
he helps me lease a lot of my properties and has done a tremendous job. Think the world of Lash, and he did a great job on this podcast. So I hear a train going by in the background there.
Yeah, sorry about that. One of the charming things about downtown Southern Pines is the train. It literally shakes my building. So,
hey, that's cool. That's cool.
yeah.
Well, no. Back to your question, I've done a lot of these, what I call a full scale redevelopment of a property, but the most full scale one that I've ever done and that I am the most proud of is one in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. It is on the Edgecombe side of Rocky Mount, and the corner, great intersection, highest traffic count intersection on the Edgecombe side of Rocky Mount, corner of Fairview and Raleigh roads. This shopping center had been vacant for over 20 years. I bought it in, this was 2011-12 time for, so almost, 15 years ago. Again, recessionary times. The center had been vacant for over 20 years. It was 100% vacant. The first time I walked in the building, there was a light rain going on outside, and it was raining harder in the building than out of the building. I walked in that building, there were 12-foot tall pine trees growing up out of the floor of the building. You look up, there were 50-foot holes in the roof where the whole roof had collapsed. You could see the sky. It was that one, that project. The way I explain that one is basically everything except the slab, the concrete slab, and the block masonry walls was ripped out and rebuilt. The entire, from the roof down, the entire roof all the way down. I mean, everything, plumbing, electrical, framing, sheetrock, flooring, ceiling, lighting, everything. And the same thing on the whole front, ripped the whole front off the whole building, rebuilt. Today, that property is 100% occupied. So it went from 100% vacant to 100% occupied by Rose's Stores, Dollar Tree, Pizza Hut, Hair Depot, Beauty Supply. We got a McDonald's sits out front. And today, that's probably the most proud project. And I've done some other ones like that. I did one in Farmville, North Carolina. That was, when I bought that, a large 100,000 square foot shopping center, had one store in the whole place.
Wow.
One store. That one I bought back in 2013 and did not quite to the extent of Rocky Mount, but similar. So that thing was like 20% occupied when I bought it. Today, it is 100% occupied by Rose's Stores, Dollar Tree, Tractor Supply, and then, other shops, sub shop, pizza shop, things like that.
Yeah. No, I can definitely see how the municipalities love you guys coming in and taking down an old asset like that, because the one in Rocky Mount was probably one they wanted to have demoed before you came in.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. Meeting with the city building inspectors and economic development people in Rocky Mount, they said, yes, we're so glad to see you because this was on the list for condemnation and possibly being torn down. Yeah.
Yeah. So kind of staying in Eastern North Carolina, that's your bailiwick. What's the future look like for Eastern North Carolina?
Oh man. I think is being really since COVID, Eastern North Carolina, and Lash touched on this a little bit when he spoke with you, but I feel like since COVID, we've kind of been discovered a little bit.
Yep.
You had a lot of people in COVID that were moving from other states and a lot within the state, places like Raleigh and Charlotte, people moving to places like New Bern or Morehead City or Pinehurst or these type places, so Wilmington. And there's an Interstate 42, which is now Highway 70. Eventually, Raleigh to Morehead, the port of Morehead City, will be an interstate, and a lot of that's already complete. But I think when that happens, it'll be like when I-40 was put down to Wilmington. It's gonna explode. You still got, and again, Lash mentioned this on his talk with you. You've still got a lot of pockets in Eastern North Carolina that are very, very poor, very rural, that are not seeing that growth. Especially northeastern North Carolina. I mean, I've got some properties in that area, Scotland Neck, Murfreesboro, North Carolina. Some of that area is struggling a bit. And I wish in this country and in this state, there's a growing rural urban divide. It seems like all the growth and a lot of the industry is going to the Triad, the Triangle, the Charlotte areas. We could use some of that down here, but the quality of life is just unmatched. You want to live in a cool place on some rivers and the ocean right here. This is not a bad place to be. And a lot of people discovered that during COVID and came on down.
No, you're 100% right, and it's it's a kind of a two-way street on that. It's you want that development, you want that commerce to move in and bring some of those opportunities, but I can tell you, living in Southern Pines Pinehurst, sometimes we have to be careful what we wish for there. So we have that traffic circle with the traffic. We got to wait 5 minutes at that. We can't tolerate that here. So
I know. There's, but particularly after COVID, there were a lot of, you go to Pinehurst, you go to somewhere like Aiken, South Carolina, somewhere like New Bern, there were a lot of New York tags in the area, moving down.
Well, we've always had that. So.
Yeah. More of them now.
Yeah, no, and we love our Yankees, so we'll take them. So tell me, what's the future look like for you guys?
Well, I'm, again, knock on wood, kind of in a good position where I'm not. When I first started, man, I was, you were chasing down every possible deal, just trying to hustle real hard. Like I mentioned, today I own 17 retail shopping centers in 4 states, and that is a major full-time job, just owning and operating and managing and just keeping all them going. So for Crayton Commercial, for my company, I am, not out there chasing every deal down. I'm doing most of the deals I do today come to me, either from someone just that knows me calling me, or a retailer calling me, or something like that. So, matter of fact, I just bought a shopping center in Orangeburg, South Carolina, last month, and that was one that just wasn't going to happen, kind of thing. Came back around. Some folks out of Atlanta that are in their 90s, just looking to simplify estate holdings, and that thing kind of came around to me. Same thing. Last year, I bought a large shopping center in Greenville, Alabama, which is actually right now, that's my geographically furthest away from New Bern. Got several in Alabama, Montgomery, Greenville, Birmingham areas, but that one, Greenville's on I-65 between Montgomery and Mobile. So it's a little bit away from here. But yeah, that's kind of, just to answer your question, just really focusing on maximizing what I currently have, and then growing strategically as opportunities kind of present themselves. And I've done most, and Lash has been a big help. Lash and I put together the Tractor Supply deal in my shopping center in Farmville. He filled up the center I mentioned in Rocky Mount. He's helping me with a couple others, Dillon, South Carolina, Scotland Neck, North Carolina. But the best return you make is on something you already got. So
Yeah.
instead of chasing a bunch of new deals, I've focused on filling holes where I've got, fill like that Farmville shopping center. I had that thing went from 20% occupancy to about 80%, and it sat there at 80% for years because I had a vacant food line space in there. I had opportunities to split that thing up but it just didn't make sense, put in a flea mall or put in a church or some lesser, and I just held out for the right opportunity. And the right opportunity was putting Tractor Supply in there,
All
which
right.
Lash and I did that together, which turned out very well. But maximizing and filling holes of what you got is the best return you're going to make on anything.
Yeah, we forget that sometimes. We get in the sales grind or the growth grind, and kind of forget about the opportunities we've got right at our feet right now. So, if you had maybe one or two more questions here, Walt, and I'll
Yeah.
let you get
Yeah.
back to doing important
Oh, you're
stuff.
good. I'm probably talking too much here for it.
No, you're great, man. Yeah, this is great. Thank you. If someone were, say, young, in college, out of college, something like that, wanting to get into the business, what's the advice you'd have for them?
Well, very good question. I would say, and I heard the question you asked Lash about market rent, and I completely agree with him, but I'm going to diverge off that a little bit. I would say it's a long game. You are going to about go broke starting out in this business. I mean, this is going to sound crazy, but I had my own lawn care business in high school and tree cutting business, and I made more money my senior year of high school than I did the first year out of college at work. It's going to sound crazy, but
Yeah.
I would say if someone looking to get in this business, you've got to work. You don't have to be the smartest person, but you've got to work hard. It's all about relationships and hard work. That's what it's all about. And you've got to be in it for the long game. I would say way more than a paycheck is the knowledge you learn. You just get in there, hustle, meet as many people as you can, work hard, and be in it for the long game. You may have friends right out of college making way more money than you, but they're going to plateau. I mean, that happened to me. I had people out of
Yes.
college that
That was tough too.
yeah. I mean, I was like about to go broke, couldn't hardly afford to go out to eat, things like that. And but you got to be in it for the 5+ year type plan. And that's my advice. Don't get discouraged. Just work very hard, learn as much as you can, and you will be rewarded. Don't chase the dollars, chase the love of what you're doing, and the dollars will take care of themselves.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people say that, and I obviously truly believe that. And you hear so many people that get out of the business, and sometimes you think, man, did they put so much in it? Did they quit right before they were about to break through? And nobody knows that, but it feels like that because you will break through if you just keep pounding and pounding. I have a theme I always use: just being too stupid to quit. And you do see that in this business. And obviously people in this business are really intelligent, but it's not always the smartest ones that make it. It's, a lot of those people on the sidelines with all the answers working for somebody else now. But it just takes that grit and that grind, being too stupid to quit.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think back, I mean, the 4 years I was in Charlotte, I was, I didn't make a ton of money, but I learned I would not be here today without that. I learned
Yeah.
so much. And then probably the first 4 or 5 years of starting this company, I mean, I say barely getting by, whatever. I mean, it was also recessionary times, but it was tough. It was tough,
Yeah.
but, that's my advice. You just work hard and learn as much as you can, and it'll be there. It's just going to take, you're not going to, there's no overnight get rich or whatever. You gotta stick at it,
Yeah. This is it's a 10-year overnight success kind of business. Everybody
Yeah,
thinks
that's
that
right.
you
Exactly. I like
just
that.
started
Yeah.
yesterday, but man, they don't see all the layers to the onion that you went through. And, cause you don't ever see the people that don't make it. And,
Right.
and obviously you have. So it's a really
Well,
great
knock
success
on
story.
wood. I don't know.
I think
I
you'll be
hope.
okay, Walt. One last thing, Walt. Walt and I were talking before we went live about he's got his New Bern High School shirt on there, and you want
Yeah,
to do a little
there you
pitch
go.
for New Bern High School, and you've got an event today or coming up soon here, fundraiser or
Tonight.
something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that's why I was mentioned to you what I was wearing. Our Rotary Club, which I'm actually the president of this year, we put on the Pigskin Preview event every year, which has gotten really big. It's really cool. It's for the 3 high schools in this county, which New Bern High School, Havelock High School, and West Craven High School. And then also our 2 adjoining counties, Jones and Pamlico, each have 1 high school in the county. So those 5 schools, we put this event on, and it's almost like if you see like the ACC Media Day or something like
yeah.
that, it's almost like that, where you've got a panel, Brian North, the sports director for Channel 12 here, ABC, is the moderator. You've got the 5 coaches up there. Then you've got student athletes, and it's really cool. This area, as you know, my shirt, New Bern High 4A has won the state championship 3 times in the last 15 years or so,
Wow.
and a lot of deep tradition here. So it's really cool. Like I said, that event has grown. It's a full barbecue dinner. The players, the coaches, the parents, boosters. We'll have a couple hundred people there tonight. It's at the Shrine Club in New Bern. Really cool event. But that's why I'm wearing this shirt, and that's what we got going on. I know you're big high school and college football fan yourself. So
Oh yeah, I can't get enough football. So, well, unfortunately, this won't air before tonight. However, I'm sure the Rotary will accept your donations and your support.
That's right.
So, one last thing, Walt, here before we go. I think I said that a couple times, so forgive me.
Oh, you're good.
Um,
You're good.
so, most of the audience here is a couple thousand commercial real estate executives, people in the Carolinas that are in your industry. What's a way that they can bring great deals to you, good opportunities to you, that so you guys can help each other?
If anybody sees any shopping centers for sale, or like I said, somebody looking to get rid of something or something needs to be rehabbed, just reach out to me, call me, email me, whatever. I talk to people. People call me every day, and the majority of them don't work out, but the few that do, I'd say maybe 5% of everything I look at actually works out. But
Yeah, just a
you
numbers
know,
game, right?
it's absolutely shotgun approach. But
That's right.
but yeah, give me a call. Just look me up on the internet, Walt Crayton, Crayton Commercial, my email, my cell number, whatever. Just and this is such a tight knit, close industry. Everybody. If you don't know me, you probably know somebody that does. So just get up with me. I love this business. It's like every business. You got hard days where you're about to just feel like you're ready to jump off the building. But overall, man, people ask me about, what's your hobbies or this or that, and I do have some hobbies and enjoying snow skiing and fishing, but man, my main hobby is work because
Yeah,
it's so fun. It's not even like a job. It's just cool.
yeah. Yeah, no, you guys, that's why, I'm not a commercial real estate professional, but I work with commercial real estate companies, and that's why I do it, is because the work you do is so instrumental and monumental. It's really neat work. And, you see that, how to make the sausage and how many never make it to productions, but it's the ones that do are really neat and well earned.
And I got, a few friends of mine are CPAs and people, lawyers and stuff. And I think they may not come out and say, but they're jealous of
Yeah, you
folks
feel
like
bad
us.
for them a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, they sit there in the office all day dealing with people and dealing with problems. And in this business, you're out and about. Every day's different. One day you're in the office on the phone making a deal, and the next day you're on a roof of a building meeting with
Yeah.
somebody. I mean, this is a cool business.
Yeah, meeting fascinating people. It's a great business. So, Walt, I appreciate it, sir. We will. We're going to wrap this up now, but Walt Crayton and Crayton Commercial, thanks for coming on, Walt, and look forward to talking to you soon.
Fourth, I really appreciate it. This was cool, man. Thank you. It means a lot that you reach out to somebody like me to be on here, man. I appreciate it.
No, I appreciate it. And stay on after I stop the recording.
Yes, sir.
I think we might have a mutual friend because you're from New Bern. I want to ask you about
Okay.
that.
Sounds
All
good.
right.
Thanks again, man.
See you, man. Bye.
Yes, sir.